Okay, hey there, welcome. So now we are going to start a very vast branch of physics, and that's called optics. So optics is basically the study of light. And in optics we study the different properties of lights, associated different phenomenon like reflection, refraction, interference, diffraction, polarization, etc. and optical instruments. Optical instrument like we can say human eye, microscope, telescope, etc. So now we are going to see what actually light is. Since our childhood, we are learning that light is a form of energy that enable or allow us to see an object. But as we already learned the chapter electromagnetic wave, so there we learn that light is that part of electromagnetic spectrum that is having wavelength from 400 to 700 nanometer. So now I'm going to draw electromagnetic spectrum so that once again we will revise what actually light is. So this is our electromagnetic spectrum. I have drawn it in the increasing order of wavelength, that is while moving from left to right, wavelength of the electromagnetic wave is increasing, and if wavelength is increasing then its frequency will decrease. And we know that light consists of 7 different color. So in light consists of 7 different color, we say it Vibgyor, that is violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. White light or light is a mixture of these 7 different colors, and while moving from violet to red, wavelength increases, that is wavelength of the violet color will be less than the violet of red color, or red color will have maximum wavelength if we are comparing among the Vibgyor color. Now we are going to see what are the different wavelengths of the particular colors. So from here we can see that the visible part, that is Vibgyor, the visible part of the spectrum has minimum wavelength of 400 nanometer and maximum wavelength is of 700 nanometer, and that is for red color. And therefore we define light or white light as it is that part of electromagnetic spectrum having wavelength from 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. Now we are going to see the different properties of light. And if we'll talk about the first property of light, then light is an electromagnetic wave having wavelength between 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. And if we will calculate the corresponding frequency of the light, then the corresponding frequency of light lies between 4.3 into 10 to the power 14 to 7.3 into 10 to the power 14 hertz. How I am calculating the frequency? Frequency equal to what? Frequency we can calculate with the help of formula speed of wave divided by its wavelength. So we know that any electromagnetic wave travels with the speed of light. So V will be replaced by C by lambda. So in place of C, substitute 3 into 10 to the power 8, and in place of lambda substitute 400 in meter, 400 into 10 to the power minus 9. So we will get 7.3 into 10 to the power 14 hertz. And if we will substitute 700 into 10 to the power minus 9 in place of lambda, then we will get 4.3 into 10 to the power 14 hertz. And we know that any electromagnetic wave consists of electric field and magnetic field. Since light is an electromagnetic wave, so it must consist of a varying electric field and a varying magnetic field. And both electric field and magnetic field are perpendicular to each other, and they are also perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the light. And if we want to know the direction of propagation of light, then it will be in the direction of E cross B, that is, it will move in the direction of x-axis in this particular case. So light will have all those properties which an electromagnetic wave contains. Now let's see the second properties of light. The second property of light is light has dual nature. That is particle and wave nature both. Since light is an electromagnetic wave and we know that any electromagnetic wave has dual nature, therefore light will also have dual nature. Sometimes it behaves like a particle means it behaves like a photon means packet of energy. And we already know that the energy of photon is h into frequency. The third property of light is that light does not need a material medium to travel. That is, it can travel through vacuum too. Means, unlike mechanical waves, we know that light is an electromagnetic wave, and an electromagnetic wave does not require a material medium. It can travel even in vacuum, that is in free space. Now let us discuss here few points regarding the medium. Medium can be classified as material medium and non-material medium. Non-material mediums can also be called as vacuum, and in vacuum light travels with a speed of 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. But in material medium, light or the speed of light is less than 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Light does not travel, or light cannot travel in all kind of material medium. Light can travel in certain kind of material medium, that is in certain kind of solids, liquids. So material mediums are classified as transparent medium, translucent medium and opaque medium. In transparent medium, that is the medium like water, glass, clear plastic, etc., light can travel freely over a very large distance. So in transparent medium, light can travel easily. Now let's talk about translucent medium. In translucent medium like oil, light can travel some distance, but its intensity redu- reduces rapidly. Now let's talk about opaque medium, that is wood, metal, brick, etc. So in case of opaque medium, light cannot travel. That is, light cannot pass through a wood. So through a opaque medium, light cannot travel. Now let's see the fourth property of light, is in vacuum or free space, or sometimes we say air. light travels light travel with a speed of 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, and this is quantity is denoted by c. This point I have already covered in point number 3. Now let's see the fifth properties of light. Rectilinear propagation of light. The word rectilinear here means straight line. It means that light travels along straight line in a medium or in vacuum. That is, if we will take these 2 points, then light will travel from point 1 to point 2 along a straight line. And this property of light is called rectilinear propagation of light. One point noted here, the path of light changes only when there is an object in its path or when or where the medium changes. What it means? The path of light will change only when there will be an object. Let us suppose this is an object and light is coming in this direction. So direction of light will change when an object will come in the path of light, or the direction of propagation of light will change when the medium will change. Medium here is air, medium here is water. So when medium will change, the direction of propagation of light will change. So now in this lesson we will see that how we see an object. When light from a source, let us suppose the source is bulb here, enters into our eyes, an inverted, real and highly diminished means very small in size, image is formed on the retina. You can suppose retina as a screen. Why inverted image is formed? We will learn all this thing in very detail when we will see optical instrument. In optical instrument, the first topic is eye, and there we will learn why the image will form inverted. For now, just remember, the image that formed on the retina is inverted, real and highly diminished. The image formed on the retina is transmitted through optical nerve to the brain in the form of optical signals. The brain processes this information to show us an erect image. To an erect image which is much larger as compared to that formed on the retina. Now we are going to see retina in detail. So if we will magnify the retina, then we will see that over the surface of retina there are two kinds of cells are present, and these are called sense receptor. One is called rod because the shape is of rod type, and the second is called cone because of their shape. If we will talk about rod, then rods are sensitive in dim light. And if we will talk about the number of rods present over the surface of retina, then it is around 100 millions. Now let us talk about cones. Cones are sensitive in bright light or when the intensity of light is high. And the number of cones that is present over the retina is of the order of 10 million. There are three kinds of cones present in our eyes. Cones are of three different colors: red, green, and blue. The rod can sense very small amount of light, while the cones need more light to perform their task and sensing colors and details of the object. That is why in dim light we are able to see shapes but not color and details. We have two eyes which are separated by few centimeters. Each eye sees a slightly different image. Our brain combines the two images into a single, using the extra information to tell us how close or far away the object is present. So if we will summarize, then what we learn: we see an object through our brain and not through our eye. Eye is only a medium to see an object, but actually we see an object through our brain. Suppose in an accident, the part of brain which works or whose function is to see an object will get damaged, then what will happen? The human or that person will become blind. Even the image of the object is forming on the retina, this image will not be transferred to the brain. Now let us discuss how we see different colors. Let us suppose the color of this bulb is red. So red light will fall over the surface of retina, and therefore red cones will become active only, and red color signal will be transmitted to the brain through the optical nerves in the form of signal, and then our brain will sense red color. Now the question will rise, what happens if the color of the bulb is yellow? If the color of the bulb is yellow, then what happens? Red cones and green cones will add up in certain quantity and they will produce yellow color, which then transmitted to the brain through the optical nerves in the form of optical signal. So two important things we learn here: to see an object the light must come from that object and enters in our eye. And the second point, we don't see through eye, we see an object through our brain. Now let us understand the concept. How does we see? Let us consider an example. There is a room inside which a person is there. There is a bulb and I have taken one table. This person, if bulb is on, then this person can easily see the bulb as well as this table. How? As we learn that to see an object, light must come from that object and enters into our eyes. So from the bulb, light is coming and falling in the eye of the person. But how does we are seeing this table? Because this table is not producing any light, still we are able to see this table. The concept is that this bulb is radiating light in all directions. So some light will fall on the table and they will reflect and then it will fall in the eye of this man. Now this man will see this light which is coming from the table. So this man is now able to see this table. This man can also see all the walls present inside the room. If I will consider this wall, then this person can see this wall. Why? Because light from the bulb is striking the wall and after reflection they are falling in the eye of this person. And similarly, if any object is present inside the room, the person can see the object only if light is coming from that object will enter into the eye. In this case, the bulb emits its own light, and such objects are called luminous object. And table does not emit its own light, it is reflecting the light which is coming from the bulb. So the table is a non-luminous object. What will happen if the light will switch off in the room? If light will switch off, even our eye are opened, we are not able to see anything, because what is light? Light is a form of energy that enables us to see an object. So as we learned from the previous example, an object that emits light is a source of light, and source of light can be luminous source or non-luminous source. What are luminous source or luminous object? The object that emits light of their own. For example, sun, bulb, torch, etc. All they emits their own light. So they are the example of luminous object. What are non-luminous object? Object that does not have their own light. Example, chair, wall, moon, etc. We can see this object only when some light will fall on this object and then reflect and then fall in our eye. One doubt that come in minds in many students that moon is an example of luminous object. So let us discuss why moon is a non-luminous object. Let us suppose this is the sun, this is our earth, and this is the moon. Sun is a luminous source because light directly from the sun falls on the earth. And if we talk about moon, then moon does not have their own light. Moon reflects the light that comes from the sun. So a person on the earth will see moon when this ray will fall in his eye. And for the sun, a person will see the sun if this ray will fall in the eye of a person on the earth, then that person will be able to see the sun. Sun emits its own light in all directions. Some light falls on the earth. Some light from the sun also falls on the moon, and some of them are reflected towards the earth. So that reflected part, when falls in the eyes of a person, that person will see the moon. So moon is a non-luminous object and sun is a example of luminous object. So now we are going to see that what is the nature of light. Matter. Matter composed of particles like electron, proton and neutron. We all know. So does light also consist of the particles like electron, proton and neutron? So Newton, a scientist, in one of his book called Newton's Optics, he told light as a stream of invisible particles. And with the help of his theory that light consists of a stream of invisible particles, Newton was able to explain the phenomenon like reflection and refraction of light. But he was not able to explain the phenomenon of light like diffraction, interference and polarization. So the phenomenon like reflection and refraction was explained by the theory given by the Newtons, but the phenomenon like diffraction, interference and polarization was not explained by the theory given by Newton. So later a new theory comes into play called corpuscular theory. And in corpuscular theory, light was considered as group of particles. And later we say these particles as photons. So scientist was assuming light as particle before having the knowledge of any kind of electromagnetic wave. Later wave theory comes into play And now we know that light is actually an electromagnetic wave. And an electromagnetic wave has dual nature. So sometimes light behave like particles called photon, or sometimes it behaves like wave. So when it behaves like particle, so we are able to explain the phenomenon like reflection and refraction. And when electromagnetic wave, we treat it as wave, then we can explain the phenomenon like diffraction, interference and polarization. One question that comes in mind, that can we see light? Yes or no? The answer is no. We cannot see light. Light is invisible. We only experience or felt the effect of light, because light is an electromagnetic wave, and we cannot see a non-mechanical wave. Our eyes converts this energy into information which our brain converts into images. It is the image which we see. What I want to say that, see, for example, between this pen and my eye, there is light. But I am not able to see that light. What I am able to see? I am able to see the pen, my hand, and this white sheet. I am able to see all these things with the help of light, but I cannot see light. And therefore we can only see object with the help of light. We cannot see the light actually. Now let us understand this with the help of an example. Let us consider a dark room in which I have switched on the torch. Then light will go, and some of you will think this is the light which I am seeing. The answer is no. What we see a phenomenon here, and that's called scattering. See, here air particles and dust are present, and due to which they scatter the light. And what actually we see here? We see here a phenomenon called scattering of light. We actually are not seeing any light here. If we will switch on a torch in vacuum, then we will not able to see this stream of particles. I think your concept is clear. So light is invisible. We cannot see light. We see objects with the help of light. As in the previous video, we learned that optics is basically the study of light. Now we are going to see the classification of optics. Optics is basically classified as rays optics and wave optics. Ray optics is also called geometrical optics, and wave optics is also called physical optics. While studying ray optics, we consider light as rays, and while studying wave optics, we consider light as wave. In ray optics, dimensions of the objects like mirror, lenses, prism, optical instrument, etc. are much larger than the wavelength of light. In ray optics, we study phenomena like reflection and refraction of light. While in wave optics, dimensions of the object like slits, holes, etc. are comparable to the wavelength of light. And what is the wavelength of light? Wavelength of light, we know that lies between 400 to 700 nanometer. In wave optics, we study the phenomenon like interference, diffraction, polarization, etc. So first we are going to start the ray optics. In ray optics, the first topic that we will see here, what is a ray of light? So what is a ray of light? Light travels from one point to another point along a straight line joining them. The path of light is called a ray of light, or we can say that a ray of light is a very thin or narrow beam of light. It is only a theoretical concept. It helps us to understand rectilinear propagation of light. If light is coming, suppose from top to the bottom, then we will show this as a ray of light. If light is coming, suppose from right to left, then we will draw a ray whose direction is from right to left. Now let's see a new topic called beam of light. Beam of light, sometimes we also call it light beam. Beam of light is actually a bundle or group of light rays. For example, here I have considered more than one light ray or ray of light. So this is a bundle of light rays, or in simple word we will say it a beam of light. In this case, all the rays are parallel to each other. So this beam of light is a parallel beam. In the second diagram, the rays are converging towards a point. So this kind of beam is called a converging beam. In the third diagram, the rays are diverging as they are going away from each other. So this kind of beam of light is called diverging beam.